If you have a Libra rising in your birth chart, you are very focused on relationship. That is the cornerstone of your being. You're very focused on pleasing the other in relationship. There must be balanced and harmonious relationships for you to feel secure because the ascendant is your soul of what you're rising into in this life. So if it's in Libra, beauty is all around. The aesthetic has to be there. And there's so much more to discover about the Ascendant in Libra. I'm to talk about all of that more in depth in this video, breaking down what it means if you have a Libra rising sign in your birth chart. I'm Everett Curdy. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please subscribe, like this video, share it, do all of the things. This channel is all about astrology and spirituality, those types of videos. I'm going to come out with a lot of astrology videos, and later down the road, there will be some spirituality videos such as acceptance, boundaries, the law of attraction, those kind of things, which will come much later. But for now, it's astrology. And for now, we're talking about the ascendant to the signs, and this is where we are now. So let's dive into this Libra rising topic. The very, very first thing is that these people are very pleasant people to be around. They're quite charming also. They come up as nice, as kind. Um, Even if you wouldn't dislike a Libra rising, it's impossible to do that because of their just their attraction, their positive qualities, their beauty, their handsomeness of what they have to offer applies to both men and women, girls and boys, male and female. So, they can also be very diplomatic minded, very fair minded, um, very level playing field. Let's meet the battens out and do all those kind of things. So that's really how they are. They're very they want the peaceful solutions for the higher crowd. They want the Armageddon for the Shamageddons. They want the diplomacy, the peaceful solutions to be created. And they're great diplomats. Labor risings, also known as codependence risings. This is the pitfall. This is the caveat, is because of their intense need for relationship, intense need for partnership, intense need for to be in tandem with another, they can fall prey to being codependent, relying on the and so with Aries, which is the opposite sign of Libra, it's all about independence. It's all about me, 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 doing my own thing, going after what I need, want, and desire. You know, my wants, my needs, my desires. That's Aries energy. And so the combination of Aries and Libra, which are probably the most opposite of all um the zodiac sister signs, I want to say. And so when it comes to uh this sort of thing, the balance point is co-independence. That's that sweet spot. Now, Libra is all about relationships. You could be in a very long-term relationship. Remember that the ascendant in Libra is not just one part. It depends upon the planets aspecting your ascendant and what's going on in your own birth chart. To get more in depth with that, we're going to talk about that in future videos. But for now, this is the standard, just general look at the ascendant in Libra. So, with the ascendant in Libra, they either had a really long-term relationship, which was very deep and very loyal relationship, very harmonious relationship, or they may have a lot of relationship. They may fall in love, have the relationship, break up, and do the same thing over again. So they probably had a lot of relationships, and they value a lot of relationships in their life. The more, the merrier, because they are so curious at getting to know the other getting to communicate and have conversations and really getting to understand another person. That's something that nobody can take away from a Libra, especially if it's on the ascendant. So Libra is ruled by Venus. And the thing about Venus is it's like a flower. It attracts sunlight, water, bees to it. It doesn't go after it, it doesn't chase it down like Mars. It attracts. And so they attract people to them. They attract beauty to them. They attract art to them. They attract love to them. So they're very, they're a magnet. I believe that this is the spirit animal for being a magnet of love and light and all those kind of things. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. But anyway, um, so the next thing to really understand is that they're very good at making peaceful solutions. They're good at smoothing over rough edges. They're good at finding win-win situations for all of the people involved. They're great for really, really finding the compromise, the happy medium. Um, Good at mending broken relationships, mending impaired relationships, mending tainted relationships. They can mend these types of things and harmonize people, bring them together, bring them back together. And so that's one of their strong suits. It's a very, very wonderful thing about Libra rising. They can be very gentle people, very easygoing in nature. They're very attractive. They're very beautiful. And so they need to, they put a lot of emphasis on and attention on their personal appearance, what they wear, how they take care of their face, how they take care of the rest of their body. That's sort of, what they are, all about. And so they really take a lot of pride in their personal appearance and in what they do personally for themselves, and their body. So they take a lot of pride in maintaining themselves and keeping themselves up in that kind of way. They're very convincing, they're very persuasive, they can get people on their side very naturally. Um, and so they're also good negotiators, also, and they're very accommodating people. They may be attracted to partners who may be very blunt, very direct, very active, very masculine, attracting, not necessarily that, but going after what they want and being completely honest while doing it. They may attract people like that into their lives, especially if they fall on the more codependent side of things and the more people-pleasing side of things. And so they may have a sweet persona that they put around them, like an orb of light is around the Libra rising, where they just naturally blend with their surroundings, like they know which clothes match which background, and it naturally just goes together for them. The color combinations and those kind of things. They know how to put colors and they know what colors match and which are beautiful together and which colors don't match, what colors aren't beautiful together. And the same is true for them in relationships. They can determine those kind of things. And so the thing is, because they're so other oriented, they do not blame themselves at all, really. They blame everybody else. And so what they need to do is they need to stop blaming other people all the time for their wrongdoings, for their misfortune, um for their disappointments, for their anger, for their emotions, for the events that happen in their life. They have to stop blaming others and turn the focus in on themselves from time to time. That is very, very important for them to develop. They want to establish balance. Balance, not this, but this. This is balance. And so they want to establish that in the world. They want things to be very harmonious. Everyone has an equal slice of the pie. Everyone is included. Everybody is equal. Every creature is equal. Everything's in balance. That's what they're all about. So there is, um, there is a very, very heightened sense of awareness of beauty with them, of the beauty that they create, if they want, if they attract, and relationships. They're so highly aware of their relationships. It is unfathomable how aware they are of their relationships and which relationships serve them and which don't serve them. They may also see the value of the breaks between one opportunity, one event happening, and then a break, and then another event happening. Just something to think about. And so they can be very calming in nature. They can be true for Taurus rising also, but they just have a very nice, kind, calming aura about them. It's very soothing. It's very warming, very engaging. And so they balance so it's very, very important for them to balance their physical life with their spiritual life, with their soul life. So balancing their life in the 3D, meaning people doing things going on about connecting with their soul, connecting with their intuition, connecting with their spiritual higher self. These things must be balanced in their life. So if their life is out of balance, we can't have that. They have to really, really do things to keep everything in balance. And so you may bring balance and calm to your surroundings. You're very good at enriching conversations by actively listening to other people, actively listening, and then sharing your ideas, asking your questions, giving your opinions. That's sort of their wheelhouse, is I share and then I listen and receive. They are very, very good at really mastering the art of conversation because of that balance, because of that back and forth. One person has to say, another person has to say. That's the sort of, motive is Libra's symbol is the scale, but it could also be because the scale is an inanimate object. Another symbol for Libra could also be conversation because of that reciprocity that is involved within it. And so you bring harmony to the people that you're around. You bring that harmonious quality to you. And so both partners must experience bliss where they're experiencing such a solid relationship, such a wonderful, kind, compassionate type of relationship. That's what they're, all about, making themselves in their life. So, in terms of medical astrology, in terms of the body, we could see some issues with the kidneys and sexual organs. That could be sizable ingigmas. And so there could be a reasonable and natural diplomatic quality. They're very diplomatic, they're very reasonable, they're very logical. They're good at observing things and seeing from a higher perspective, rising above the emotions and seeing things from a higher perspective. They're very observant. They're very detached also. So they are very willing to listen to varied viewpoints, listening to all different types of things, taking all the factors into consideration before making a decision. That is very, very important for them to really size up all of the opinions and all the thoughts and all the pieces that the people have to say, and then taking that all in consideration and making a decision. But Libra can get caught up in indecision. You need the opposite sign of Aries to be the decisive one. Like, this is the plan. This is where I need to go. This is what I need to do. So that has to be included in there also. So, big themes with this placement. The very, very first big theme is cooperation and compromise. So they were all about cooperation, cooperating with others, and compromises, as I said earlier, finding the happy medium between two things, or maybe three, or however many things, however many people involved. They're very good to please, and they have a natural sense of balance. They also have a great sense of aesthetic. They know what works together, what goes together, those kind of things. They're very into aesthetic. They're very tactful. They're very aware of what other people think of them, and what other people think of them is very, very important for them. It probably is their everything, what other people are thinking about them and how other people feel about them. So it's very important to balance being who you are with relationship and connecting with others. And if Libra risings can find that balance, true balance, then they can really go far in this lifetime. So, they appear very graceful. They may move very graceful. They have probably very graceful facial features. They're very concerned with justice and equality. These two things, everything being equal, everyone being equal. Justice must be served. Partnerships and collaboration, the really, really big theme here. Um, Also, new information, learning new information, especially if it's about other people and their lives and their experiences, are very, very important for them. Is information, new information, receiving that new information. They may be attracted to the very direct and brave types of individuals. They can see from a higher vantage point. Peace is of the utmost importance to them. Peace and harmony. They're very, very good at communicating. They're master communicators. Now, at the low level, they do not understand the value of what a conflict can bring. Yes, it brings disruption. Yes, it brings chaos and conflict. But at the other side of that is true peace and harmony. Once the issues have gotten hashed out, once the situation has been fully resolved, then the peace and harmony comes in, and it's true peace and harmony. It's not fake. It's not pushing things under the rug. It's not trying to keep the peace. Don't rock the boat. Um, that kind of thing. It is true peace and harmony. So they need to approach conflict willingly as opposed to just putting their head into the sand and avoiding it entirely. Your actions are often driven upon what others think of you, as I said earlier. They may be very, very sensitive to their environment, very sensitive to negativity and cruelty. They don't like any of that disharmony to be there. In terms of their body type, their skin can be very healthy, very beautiful. And so, in terms of their facial features, they can have very high forehead, an oval shaped face. They may have a very harmonious constitution with gracious and refined movement. So they can be very refined, very gracious in their movement. They may have an interest in fashion. Also, they crave relationships. That's the big theme here. Now, the ascendant is also the stage of life between ages 1 through 10 or 1 through 12. That's when your ascendant really, really gets expressed. And then as soon as you hit 13 and you're in your teenage years, then you express more of your sun sign. So growing up, childhood, for Libra rising. Probably you grew up in a strict home where you had to submit to authority in order to keep the peace. You couldn't fight for what you want. You couldn't speak your mind, speak your truth. You had to keep the peace. And maybe you were growing up in with a family that had a lot of high standards. So you had to conform to those kind of things. Maybe people were controlling you. You may have a lot of very dominating, controlling people in your childhood. So that is basically it. That is what the Libra Ascendant is about. I hope that you found a lot of depth and detail in this video. Um, do all the things like subscribe to my channel if you're interested in this type of content, these types of videos. Um, General astrology videos. I also do weekly astrology videos. I talk about the astrology of every single week. And so those are also on the channel, and so that's what we have going on here. So, thank you for watching. Bye for now.